Welcome. I am Casey Cockle. I work in the Career Center, as you probably have already guessed. And I'm glad that we have a small group today. We may have a few people coming in as we get started. That'll be good. But this way I can address any of your questions that you have. And I want you to know that this is your workshop. So as we're going through it, if you have a question or need me to elaborate on something, please stop me and ask me any question that you need answered. It's an interactive workshop. I love to get to know my students and the students I get to work with and know their individual goals. And so I hope that you'll take what we have here today, you'll participate fully, and then when you leave here today, you'll probably have a few more questions. And that's why you have my card and you have the brochure about Career Center services, so that you know that you can come to us and get individualized assistance. A lot of graduate students don't realize that, and that's one reason that we started this workshop series a year ago, so that graduate students realize that we're not just for undergraduates, that we are there to help graduate students as well. And that's appreciated by many graduate students as they have to balance understanding how to succeed in their profession as well as enduring a rigorous academic challenges, we'll say. So let me know just a little bit about yourself before we get started. I do know about your academic programs and where you are, but what brings you here today? Anything specifically that you want to make sure that I cover today?
Just kind of any information that's I may be missing out. We get kind of bombarded with a lot of stuff. It'd be nice to get something specific and tangible, I guess.
Good. Okay, good. Anything else? We're going to, yes, and we're going to touch basically how to find specific careers, where to look. And if there's, because y'all all are representing different fields, if there's something that you need more specialized attention with, please make an appointment and come see me. What else? What else do you hope we cover? Or what else brings you here today?
I'm not sure. Continue my study or just find a job because I'm in master's degree.
Right.
I'm not sure.
They're still trying to
Yeah, if I
figure
go study for a doctoral degree or just find a job.
Okay, well good, and we'll kind of cover that a little bit today. The point, my main goal for this workshop today is to help you create as many options as possible within your professional development plan. So often I see with graduate students, and it's also a source of anxiety for graduate students, it's kind of that narrow focus, because graduate study is very narrow focus. It's supposed to be. It's a specialized focus, a specialized study or focus of study. But it actually should create more options for us. We're getting more education, therefore we shouldn't be eliminating so much as we think we are in graduate studies, but we should be able to expand our options. And so that's what I'm trying to get you to think about today. And thank you for bringing up that point, because sometimes it may be that it is another degree program that you have to go to, or it may be finding a job finding jobs in a variety of areas, more than you just originally thought about. So that's what we're covering today. And before we get started on the slideshow, what I want to do, I had you all fill out this before you got started today, because this is about developing your professional development plan. And these right here are basically 9 habits that if you're doing consistently, that will make you a competitive candidate when you go on the job market. So how many of you, and let's just be honest, okay, how many of you actually are doing actively all 9 of these habits? All right. Thank you for being honest. I wasn't either as a graduate student as well. And you know, these are my lessons that I learned along the way and learned working with graduate students, that these are what make you competitive. And the number one mistake I see with working with graduate students, come on in, see. Oh, you're fine, come on in. The number one mistake I see when working with graduate students is just that lack of knowledge of what is out there, what is available to you. Which is why you'll see things like, I know where to find position postings in my field, and I regularly read job descriptions of postings in my field. How many of y'all do that? Okay. Why do y'all do that?
Still looking for it.
Right. If you know what they're looking for, you don't have that lack of knowledge problem going on. And right now, while you're in school, you can pick it up. When you're getting ready to graduate, if there was a skill that it may have taken a year or so to pick up, maybe there's a research project you should have done, maybe there is a course that you should have taken. Come May, when you're graduating, you can't do that. And you're reading those postings because you're going on the market. But right now, you have a year or more to get that skill set, to get those competencies that you will need. So that's what I see, just kind of like you've got so much stress on you, you've got so much going on with graduate study, and the ultimate goal, even though we're all here for the love of learning, definitely, but there is a goal, of course, to get employed at the end of this, gets kind of pushed to the side because you've got so much on you. But what you need to start doing is developing these habits right now that really aren't that time consuming and aren't that hard to incorporate, so that you can know what you're trying to accomplish and really working on that professional development piece. I was just talking to Ashley a minute ago. She's a graduate assistant in our Career Center, and she said a lot of her fellow classmates didn't realize the importance of being here today because they're just now starting in their graduate program. And that is a common misconception. That earlier, if you're really early in the graduate program, you really don't need to be there to start working on your professional development. But some of these things on these 9 habits right here take time to do. For example, developing true networking relationships. You can't just do that the year that or the month before you graduate. You need to do that over time, and you need to consistently nurture those relationships. Finding a mentor that you trust, that you can talk to. A lot of times we think that's our professors in our departments, and sometimes we're lucky enough to have those professors who are very involved with students, but not all students are that lucky. And so if you are finding yourself in that situation, you've got to have time to find somebody else that you can ask questions, that you can turn to for professional development, and that you can just bounce ideas off of. If you are one of those students that feel like, I don't really have a professional to turn to, or a mentor or a professor to turn to, then the Career Center can be that for you. We offer confidential counseling, and so that if you're trying to figure out something that even if you just don't want the faculty members or maybe the department to know because it's just personal to you and you don't want your grades to possibly reflect these issues that you're dealing with, then you can always come to the Career Center and we can help you with those development issues. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on. But you never can start too early, so y'all are the ones that are on that right track right now. I'm proud of you for being here, and I hope that you'll come to the rest of our sessions that we have. We'll be doing a variety of workshops. The next one will be on cover letters and personal statements and letters of applications and things like that, which is crucial in being competitive on the job market. And then the last one this semester will be about resumes versus curriculum visas. Today we'll be talking about the job search and how it pertains to that professional development plan for academic job search versus non-academic job search. And while I'll be addressing both job searches, both job search tips can apply to both groups in here, whether or not you're looking for an academic job or you're looking for a non-academic job. And so that'll help all of you. And then I'm really going to stress networking today because that's crucial. Think about all the classmates that you've had over the years and think about the classmates that you have now. Some of your programs are relatively small, but throughout the U.S., there are programs just like all of you across the nation, across the world for that matter. And you are all very educated, very talented people. And while there needs to be some things done to prove that so that you're competitive on the job market, when you're going up to compete against people, networking is going to set you apart. You still have to have that certain skill set, that certain education to get a job after undergraduate and to get into a certain field. But networking is going to set you apart. So if one of the things that you marked as false on this plan was anything to do with networking, that's something that you need to see as a skill that you need to develop. And we'll talk about specific strategies as we go through. All right, questions so far? Let me say that professional development assessment, that now becomes your plan. It's looking at your individual habits, seeing what you're doing well that you need to keep doing, and what obviously you haven't really thought about yet and what you need to improve upon. And so I'm going to cover these areas today, but Those are the individual plans sitting in front of you. And everybody's will be different. So I can't get into specifics for you today for your individualized plan. So if you need to, again, meet with us outside of today in the Career Center, please do so. Please make an appointment, okay? All right. How many of you actually know exactly what you want to do? We're clear? Y'all doing better than a lot of graduate students. It's a myth. It's a myth that graduate students know exactly what they want to do. All graduate students know exactly what they want to do. Why do you think we all think that if you're in a graduate program, you know exactly where you're going? Why do you think that? We think that.
Here it's different. Usually if you be in a graduate program, you're supposed to have work experience. After you graduate
Right.
bachelor, you have to work so you can realize where you're going, and maybe your graduate is going to be different than your undergraduate. But it don't mean they don't require work experience. I don't think a lot of people know why
Right.
they're getting money.
Maybe they haven't been exposed to a
If
variety
you
of
never work, you cannot really have a clear view what you want to do because it may be different than what you think it is. But I experienced it, so I changed what I thought originally I want to do
Mhm.
after I worked. And
Right.
that's why I went for a different master degree.
Right, exactly. So you have another master's degree,
No, I have a bachelor, but it's different.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're
Different
saying.
major.
different major. Okay, I see what
Yes,
you're
so
saying.
I think if you've never worked before, you cannot say. You want to know for sure what you do.
Mhm. Exactly. A lot of graduate students sometimes don't know exactly what they want to do because they go right from undergrad to graduate school, and they're still actually trying to develop and understand who they are as a profession. And they simply haven't been exposed to enough to realize. And that's not necessarily a bad thing to be in graduate school and not know exactly what you want to do. It can be a source of stress because graduate students are seen as knowing exactly what they want to do. A lot of times though, it's still that process of growing and developing that we never stop doing. A lot of undergraduates think, okay, I'm going to know it all after I finish, this degree. That's not the case. And so, to me, when I'm working with students, I see that it's comforting graduate students to make them realize that you still have the ability to change, the ability to explore, and it's okay if you don't know exactly what you want to do. I told this in the workshop last year, and immediately had a student make an appointment because she was very stressed out. She didn't think this was the right path. And that's what I mean by you can come in and talk to us and have confidential career counseling. If you're still trying to figure out, where you want to go, it's, okay to explore those ideas. So, with that being said, some of you I'm sure have some idea. You're still thinking about it. With me, it was always, when I was in graduate school, do I want to do higher ed or do I want to do law? And I actually even applied to a law program and got into the law school. But at that point, after I allowed myself to explore, I decided that it was the right fit, and I'm very happy. But I allowed that opportunity to be there for me to explore. It's very important, though, even if you change your mind, to have some type of direction that you're moving forward to. Because along that path, you may be exposed to things that if you weren't on that path, you would have never been exposed to. And it might be an idea that may take you to a new career that you've never even thought of. Or it might just reiterate what you need to be doing. So when I'm working with students, I always make sure that we have some kind of goal that we're setting. So I'm sure most of you have a goal that you're working toward, but time doesn't usually permit for you to think about those goals on a daily basis. So today, as we go through this workshop, I want you to think about, what is your ideal job? You may even want to jot it down right now, on a piece of paper on the back of that slides. What is the ideal job? What are the characteristics of that ideal job? Maybe it's a title that you exactly know exactly what I want to be. I want to be Vice President of Student Affairs, or Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, or something like that. Or faculty or chair of my department one day. The ideal job could be 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. It could be right after you graduate. You have to know what that is, what it's going to take